Right, so ladies and gentlemen, for our next segment, we traverse from the revolutionaries, pack of leaders, revolutionary leaders that we had some time back to evolutionaries, okay? So our next set of leaders are here to discuss on the evolution of open banking in India. Leaders, of course, the trend here at Exito is we call you up, we introduce you, and as and when we do that, one small question requiring one very small answer. So let's call in our moderator, the gentleman with the toughest task, Mr. Abhineet Sarkar, Innovation Leader, Tata AIA Life Insurance. Mr. Sarkar, kindly come on up. And we refuse to tell you the question till you stand here. Mr. Sarkar, so the question to you is, what is that one item in your bucket list that you are absolutely open to but still haven't done, but open to with arms wide open?
Oh, that may be a bit personal.
Oh, don't get there. Let's not get there. Something which can be shared on a public platform.
No, of course. So, I think I want to travel specifically to certain regions, mountain regions, which I have never yet done. It's very unfortunate of me. So, I really want to do that.
Fantastic. Mr. Sarkar, brilliant answer, and thank you so much for keeping it PG-13.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Our next leader is Mr. Anil Sinha, the Chief Technology Officer of EarlySalary. Mr. Sinha, same question. What is that one thing in your bucket list you are open to but still haven't executed?
And coincidentally, I have a similar. I do want to go to Himalaya someday for 1 week and do complete meditation.
Where is the cut copy paste? Classic case of cut copy paste.
So actually, I'm a big fond of meditation as well. So there are time I can sit for 3-4 hours.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, very, very interesting duo that we have. Gentlemen, stage is all yours, and Himalayas probably after this.
I think Anil and I will plan something together.
Something together, now that you know. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Stage is all yours. Thank you.
Great. So, I think it's a after lunch session. So let's stretch ourselves a bit and then get started. Really good food we had. And I think the topic is open, so let's open up the session for today. This will be two of us discussing about the evolution of open banking. So let me just portray a point of view on what exactly I think of open banking or open innovation, open insurance, banking as a service, insurance as a service, BFSI as a service, embedded finance, embedded insurance. I see a very thin line difference between all of this, right? And intentionally or unintentionally, everyone has been part of open banking or open infrastructure in a way, right? I want to portray this whole the evolution of open innovation or open banking in a way that, you see, I'll basically take a few minutes on the insurance, and probably Mr. Anil will, will share his point of view on what exactly, how the open innovation structure or open banking structure is shaping up at his end. But talking about, open infrastructure, I would say it largely works in three areas. One is like a very sticky kind of insurance. You're buying a mobile phone, you are getting an option to buy an insurance to secure your mobile phone breaking down. You're buying a car, you're getting a motor vehicle insurance with it, right? That's one type of sticky insurance. You cannot ignore it. You have to opt for that particular insurance. Second is more of like a default kind of insurance. So, it's more like I would portray it as you are buying a laptop. You have a warranty attached to it, right? That's to secure your laptop from falling down or something. That's something fed to you as a default. You have to either take it, and you have option to leave that insurance. And third, I would say, is more like a stealth mode kind of insurance. And when a stealth mode insurance in a stealth mode. So you're not aware, you're personalized, you're doing something, and you're not aware that you're part of that insurance, like how Uber has done with the rideshare insurance, right? You as a person, when you hail a cab and get onto that cab, so the rider and the person, driver are both insured. So you don't know, but you are insured. So that's how the stealth embedding happen in the insurance. And fairly now, the whole open banking, open infrastructure is shaping up across BFSI segment. And I would like to, put this question to Mr. Anil to share his point of view and what exactly the pioneer of lending, I would say, EarlySalary have, the view on this.
Yeah. So if you allow me, I'll just take a minute to talk about EarlySalary so that the audience point of view people understand. So we are primarily into fintech lending, and we have got a three main vertical. One is the personal loan, where the customer can come to the app and apply for the loan. Second is a embedded financing, where we work with a partner in a different industry, education, insurance, hospital. So EMI option is given as a part of the service. Third is we work with the corporates and HRMS platform, where the employer in their HR portal itself can opt for short-term money. We have done more than 7,000 crore dispersal, and since in this market scenario, it's worth mentioning we are a profitable startup. Now coming back to the point that you mentioned, I think, so we started the company 6 years back. That point in time, lending for us it used to take 10 to 20 minutes. And that was a wow from that point on, since the bank was used to taking 10, 20 days. From 10 minutes to today, we do a 90% of underwriting in real time. Basically, within 10 seconds, you get a decision, what amount is approved and for what purpose. All this happened since there are a lot of ecosystem development has happened in the through the APIs. For example, even the government has played a very good role. Today, KYC can be done on a real-time Aadhaar-based KYC, digital KYC, DigiLocker, right? And when we talk about, let's say somebody is applying for the loan in the midnight, 2 a.m., then the money will get disbursed right at that point of time in their account. And that is again happening through the IMPS gateway integration that we have through banks. So again, these are all working via APIs only. Then, so we are an NBFC, we are, apart from us, we also work with 10 different banks and NBFCs. So if you look at from a customer point of view, this all real time, it's all transparent. So customer even don't get to realize that lot of things happening on the background where so many partners are connecting together. So that is the power of API that we have. If we talk about embedded financing, like, so we work with many insurance partners and we also work with Abhineet. And so, so let's say you're taking an insurance today and the premium, if you want to convert into EMIs, that is again seamlessly integrated from a customer point of view. Customer point of view, just seeing the premium and getting the option to opt for the EMI. So these are all possible since there are deep integration happening in the ecosystem through the API. If I have to take example from the corporate, right? So for example, we work with the PayPal. If somebody is an employee of PayPal, he can actually withdraw his salary mid-time or multiple time in a month. So let's say if I'm earning 1 lakh rupees, on 15th of the month, I got some need for cash. I can withdraw, let's say 50,000. And then again, that is powered by EarlySalary. So from a customer point of view, the PayPal system, salary system and the EarlySalary loan system are actually connected internally. And from a customer point of view, it's a very seamless experience. So these are really a lot of things has happened, a lot of revolution and innovation happen in this segment, primarily due to this API banking. I would say API is the backbone for revolution in fintech.
Right, and I think being from an industry side, and you are, you are the players who we at times interact and connect. How do you have seen any change in the adoption of APIs or sharing the APIs? How open industry has been towards?
Yeah, so I think the industry is much more open now. There are people, even the traditional banks and NBFC were averse of sharing anything. Today, even the PSU banks are creating their own fintech division and saying ki what all things we can collaborate and explore. So there is a big mindset shift has happened, especially in last 2-3 years.
Right. I agree, and I think you actually mentioned that the whole open infrastructure is basically running across this identity, DigiLocker, eKYC. That's the whole stack. The payment infrastructure has been opened. The payment rails are there, which can be particularly embedded today, and account aggregators are one of the
account aggregator, yes.
they are one of the biggest open API infrastructure, I would say, that's coming up. 𝐄𝐝𝐢𝐤 was, in a way, the open credit enabled network was, a networking for what we are, have all the lendings coming in together and sharing the data. So yeah, that is fairly the industry has opened up, and one of the things I would like to share from insurance as well, that IRDA has also recently been proposing towards going towards premium financing as one of the options, which definitely insurance industry would like to explore that how well it can go ahead in the market. Great. So I think with a lot of things, when we talk about open innovation, data is, I think, I'm sorry I missed that, data is one of the other part which is being shared.
Yes.
And why I came to data is because the next question which I have in mind is how you're going to secure all this, because you're opening up. I think that's something I would like to understand what's your point of view on that.
So I think that's a very key point, the security, right? And if you talk about any financial institution, any fintech app, for that matter, any financial institution and any other app, the major difference between the two platforms, let's say if you're building an e-com app or a finance app, the difference would be at all places, product is the prime. Product will always get an importance. Flexibility, ease of convenience, what you want to bring, the product will take a prime. But when you are building a fintech solution, a finance solution, then security become your prime. Nothing, whatever you build, if it's not safe and secure, it will not work. For example, today UPI is booming, right? Everyone is using UPI. What if even 1% of transaction has started having fraudulence? Let's say you are transferring money to me and it went somewhere else. Would you do the transaction again? Probably not. Probably nobody will do that. The entire industry can collapse. So the security becomes the most important pillar when we talk about the fintech. And obviously, the good part is that the finance sector is much more regulated than the other sectors. So that's why we got a decent amount of guideline. And as a team, we want to go beyond that. So everything that we do, all the transaction happening between the different players would be encrypted. Even the data that we store in our system is encrypted. So if, let's say, by mistake or somehow if unauthorized person even got the access to the data, he would not be able to make any sense out of it. Other than that, we go through, very detailed cyber security assessment testing, VAPT testing for our applications, as well as the infrastructure. So the idea is that we keep security as a top of thing in our mind.
Right. So what do you think, Anil? Like, I feel like doing certain kind of audit and enabling or proper encryption methodologies to store and transfer your data plays a major role. But is there any holistic or a web checklist where I can say that yes, I am ready for open innovation, this is the security I have to keep? Is there something you have?
So couple of things, obviously. One is that the basic checklist come like encryption, decryption, API whitelisting, all that communication, WAF and all. Other than that, I think in my experience, I think it makes sense to go through the compliances as well. For example, we are doing a PCID, we have done a PCI DSS compliance, and this type of compliance also reinforces some third party has reviewed your system and everything look okay. So that is something I feel key. You do what is needed from your belief and then get a certification from third party as well. Just enforce that whatever you are doing is.
No, that's fairly right thing, and I think RBI fairly abides by this, and that's what they talk about, the fourth regulatory sandbox, especially in the cyber fraud and how they can mitigate this. Right. And so we got the intention of how the open innovation banking or infrastructure is evolving, how we can secure it, right? What do you see as a next thing for API banking or embedded finance to them?
So one thing is that, like I said, the API is the backbone of all the revolution, all the innovation that we are seeing in the fintech industry, right? But the one of the challenge that we have with the API, let's say if I'm working with 10 different banks or NBFCs, I need to do 10 different integrations. So if I spend, let's say, 1 month in integrating with one particular bank, I will take 10 months to replicate the same thing with the 10 different banks.
Right.
Similarly, the bank also work with 10 different fintechs. They will also replicate the similar work 10 different times. So that is the challenge that we have at the open API level. But it has a lot of value add, so that no one is recognizing this as a challenge. Since it's again, if you look at this challenge from an industry perspective, it's a big waste of time. Instead of spending 1 month, I am spending 10 months. Similarly, each of my 10 partners is spending 10 months.
Right.
So we need to solve for that. And what we have to do for that, we have to create a standardization of API. API specs has to be standardized all across the industry. If we do that, the time to market will become much more better. So let's say today, we got a business deal. Now to execute the business deal, we'll have to go through the tech work. It will take another 1 or 2 months. But if the same API integration, if we are just able to switch the endpoint, if I'm connected to bank A today, tomorrow I can just connect with the bank B just by changing a config, it would have a tremendous impact on the entire ecosystem. So that is something I think we need to work on. We need to create more awareness around. So I'm actually working with many fintech CTOs as well, talking about it, wherever getting an opportunity to see if we can build consensus and create a community where we can talk about what is the guiding principles of APIs.
That's very right. I think standardization is one of the key principles. It's something very necessary to have. And I think, but do you think, can you help me with any analogy if you can think of that today, let's say taking DigiLocker, for example, or UPI, for example. Do you think in lending there can be something which we want to go at account aggregators, of course, there to help us. But do you think there is still a scope of something which your point of view can put a more light that this is something maybe regulator or the industry should focus to help more adoption?
So basically, one thing is that when we talk about lending, there are two important aspects, right? One is that we need to understand the person's ability to return the money.
Right.
Lending is a different business. It's not just about attracting the customer. You have to select the right customer. So we need to understand the ability of customer to repay back. And second, intention of the customer to repay back. Repay back, right? When the ability is concerned, there are various ways to look at. Obviously, one traditional way to look at the bureau check.
Right.
And we as a fintech, based on the customer permission, we also ask for a SMS permission.
Right.
So that we can look at a financial transaction and see what is its creditworthiness. Or we ask for a bank statement. But can we remove asking SMS? Can we remove asking bank statement? That is where the account aggregator would help. Right. So that how I can get the customer behavior. Even the customer behavior is not just about his ability to pay. Some person might be very casual in delaying. Talk about the electricity bill. Somebody is very disciplined in paying on time. Somebody is very casual in delaying, or So all this become a parameter to us to deciding creditworthiness of a customer. So we need to have an ecosystem where the data across the industry can be shared in a more secured and informed way. For example, in doing the account aggregator, customer know I am allowing, let's say, EarlySalary.
Proper consent is there, and
similarly, it should reach out to the other area as well. So that would be the one thing probably we should continue to work on.
No, I agree that that's proper, the consent architecture around how account aggregator is working. I own the data.
Yes.
I have the platform. And
Second thing, I think while we have a very good regulation around, at least the RBI is putting up a lot of regulation and they're working on it. I think they still need to do more, and not just the financial industry, it has to go across other industry as well, e-com and all.
Right.
Since data, now since the data is flowing all across,
right.
each individual company has to ensure that the data is secure. Since if this data can be misused in a various different form and can lead to fraud.
Right.
Another initiative that basically we work as a FACE, where FACE is again a community of digital lenders. So what we are doing is that creating an ecosystem where we can share the real-time fraud information.
Right.
So basically today, as per the regulation, you have to report if somebody has taken any credit information.
Right.
But there is no regulation which force that you have to report the fraud or potential fraud.
Mm.
So if we have to, and what happened in the digital lending, if somebody is trying to do a fraud, it will not just do a fraud with one application.
Right.
It will probably try with 10 different apps almost at the same time. So if we have an ecosystem at the industry level where the fraud information is connecting, if I identified a fraud, you should be able to use that information and add that as a variable in your underwriting process. In this way, we would be able to discourage fraud from the industry.
Right.
If we are able to discourage one person, probably 10 other person will get discouraged. And if one person is successful in doing a fraud, you will encourage 10 more people. So that would be another good thing. I think at the industry level, the regulation level, we need to see how we can make India as a digital economy where we can minimize this type of incident or at least discourage malicious intent.
Do you think the bit controversial certain regulations which have come in, so is that a way India should move towards, or?
So, certain is definitely, certain is a initial step.
Right.
I think it has to be much more real time.
Correct.
And maybe it's something like exchange. Right now, since even regulation doesn't allow to exchange data between two NBFC, right? So that's why we're creating this fraud ecosystem along with Equifax at the center.
Okay.
But yeah, I think a lot of work has to be done from the regulation side as well. The thing is that technology is moving very fast, so they also have to be adopting it.
No, I agree, and I completely align to this because maybe we are from different industry, the insurance and lending, but the way the value chain works is pretty similar. We have underwriting, we have sourcing.
Yes.
That's how we have a dependency. The whole value chain remains more or less similar to this, and I completely agree to that notion. Probably in insurance space, I would say that IRDA has fairly opened up nowadays, right? And starting from creating or resuming the sandbox, one of the things. Second is, the distribution, how we are going to do earlier. There is a proposal that you can, now there is a limitation of 3 insurers, you can be part of 3 partners, or you can be part of 2 intermediary agents. Now it has been extended to, let's say 9, you can be, one intermediary can have 9 insurers as their partner for this. So the whole distribution thing is shaping up properly, and there I think the right set of embedding insurance will come into picture, right? Moreover, I also like to share, you also mentioned about how the information need to be exchanged between the parties. That's also something is very fairly important.
Yes.
And I would like to see something in insurance wherein we have a model where we can trace out right set of fraud. There is an entity called Information Insurance Bureau who normally captures all this data, the frauds happening, of someone has been defaulted or not made a payment, or have applied or got rejected from some insurers. So they maintain a set of data, but it's all depends on declaration wise. But there need to be something which should be automated, as you said, that
Yes.
it should be in real time,
Yes, it
rather
should be in
than
real time.
rather than someone declaring it.
Even in the lending, so basically you have to report the credit information, which is fair. if somebody has ability to pay, but something I have taken a wrong credit decision, no problem. It's my NPA. But even the exchange, they are capturing the fraud information, but that is happening on a batch. Once in a month, somebody would submit it.
Right.
But, that was working okay for when we have a traditional lending. But when you have a everything digital, then you have to move up the value chain. Like you said, it has to be real time.
Real time. Agreed, agreed. And certain analogy also what you fairly mentioned on how we can have all lenders together coming in, in one interface. Like we have unified payment interface. We have a unified health interface by 𝐿 𝐈𝐓 Digital Mission. So there is a certain analogy we can, which I think that there should be a unified insurance interface as well, wherein as a customer there should be a technology partner who can create a solution like a Google Pay or a Phone Pay for me, and every insurer in the country should be part of that interface. So as a customer, I should be able to raise a claim, talk to my customer grievance center, should be able to buy a policy irrespective of whosoever insurer is there. I can make a premium payment just by going to that particular interface. I have multiple policies today, but there is not a unified interface. I think that's something as an open banking we should think towards.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Or maybe that is something probably the next level of evolution is required.
Yes,
so that makes customer life easier.
Correct, correct.
And it's also bring a more competition in the industry, so that more transparency for customer.
So I think even we talk about competition, and I just realized 2 days back I heard in some of the news channel that IRDA is proposing to have a composite license kind of thing, wherein a life insurance or a health insurance. So there are 3 insurance broadly which we segment the market is life, non-life or general insurance, and health insurance. Right? Now every insurance has their own set of businesses. Now it's a proposal that any insurer, life insurer, can also go for a general insurance business, can go for health insurance business as well. So that's also opening up. So the whole competition of having, not just abiding to one business model, you have to think of across different business model. You're driving your car fast, your life insurance will be, your premium getting exceeded. You don't know. There can be a lot of things which can happen, and that's how the evolution of open banking should be. That's what I want to portray. So yeah, fairly, I think that's a good thing to know. Anil, if you have any final comments, or otherwise I'll open up the portal for everyone to ask any questions.
No, I think we are good, and feel free to have
anything. If someone has any question on this, would like to know. We have 5 minutes, so we can wait. And yeah.
Hi Anil, this is Sinha. Hi. So on the API side, you talked about, right, there are different types of APIs which are there while we integrate with a varied set of external interfaces or the banks, right? On the external services side, I see some sort of uniformities are coming up, but on the bank or financial institution collaboration, right, for a capital or for a FLDG or for a co-lending, I definitely see that some of the PSU banks or the big banks, right, they have a traditional system where the APIs are very, very difficult to change, right? That brings a big challenge in terms of other banking institution collaborating and doing business, right? And as you're right, it takes months and months for doing a single integration. I believe the need for some open interface AI or say omni-channel hub came into picture but did not succeed, right? But I do see from their side, where the maximum capital is being held, right, by these banks, I do see an integration challenge in terms of API also. Whatever standard interfaces you bring, still it will take time for them to actually go and integrate.
Yeah, so I think you're right, and I think obviously when you have a smaller company, it's easy to change, but when you have a big history of hundreds of years, it becomes very difficult to change. The bank by nature will take its own time to move to the standardization. Probably the first problem right now that we have is that we do not even have a standardization is defined. So that and that is just not just about the banking to banking, even if I work with, let's say, different insurance partner or the merchant. So there are all different area in the BFSI sector. There has to be a community which talk about the standard specifications of all type of interaction. That will probably help us deliver things much faster in the long run. Now, coming back to your specific points, basically where what happening today is that there are companies coming up to solve the problem, and they are acting as a omni-channel. So basically, they will integrate with 10 different banks. They spend one-time effort. Now they will work with all different partners so that, let's see, if I have to connect with 10 different, I can just integrate with them, and I am right now ready to work with 10 different banks. One of the challenge with this process is I have to bring another layer which will have my customer information. So that is sort of a business risk unfortunately we have to go through, since there is no standardization is defined.
Right. So I think that also need to be regulated, right, somewhat. Yeah. Thank you.
Are there any more questions? We've got 2 minutes remaining. All right, I think we're done, but leaders, absolutely amazing. And yes, the trip to Himalaya, do send us photographs. Do send us amazing photographs from wherever is it that you'd be heading for a good mountain meditation, जो भी हम बात करते हैं. But absolutely fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our amazing leaders.
Thank you.
That was right on time.